Hello, Dusty Sevens. It's February 11th, Mjolnir Monday. I'm Sexy Thor, and it's time for your Weekly Thunder. So, last week during Weekly Thunder, I was telling you about how Daniel Bryan made a sustainable and hippie version of the WWE Championship belt, and he threw the real one in the trash, but I forgot to tell you who he was facing inside the Elimination Chamber. It's AJ Styles, because why not? Randy Orton, Jeff Hardy, Mustafa Ali, and Samoa Joe. Becky Lynch is suspended until cleared by a doctor. She was informed of this at the beginning of last week's Raw by Stephanie McMahon. So, of course, Becky attacked her because that's what you do. And then Becky tried to come on SmackDown at the beginning of that episode the following night, and Triple H came out and Becky slapped him, and Triple H was like, I think you're afraid he'll clear you, so you actually have to face Ronda Rousey. And I don't think she actually is afraid. I think that's just Triple H doing mind games on her because he is known as the Cerebral Assassin. Keyword cerebral. Ric Flair, the Nature Boy's 70th birthday is soon, and they're having a birthday celebration for him at Monday Night Raw in Atlanta on February 25th. The same one that I'm going to with Nick and Matt of the Moser clan. And I'll report on you live how it is. I'm sure it's going to be freaking awesome. Maybe he'll be a guest on A Moment of Bliss. That would be even better. And Ric Flair is like best friends with Julio Jones too. I figure I'd just throw that out there. Sasha Banks and Bayley defeated Nikki Cross and Alicia Fox to qualify for Women's Tag Team Championship on the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view. And I never thought that Nikki Cross and Alicia Fox would be quite the pairing. I didn't think they'd be a bad pairing. It's just not something I considered. But they're both pretty fucking crazy in their own ways. So, it actually turned out to be pretty perfect. And so far, it's Banks and Bayley, Sarah Logan and Liv Morgan of the Riot Squad, Nia Jackson Tamita, Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville, the Iconics, Carmella and Naomi, which that was quite a pairing too. Never occurred to me that would be a good pairing, but yeah, it actually is. And Paige made her first appearance since being relieved of GM duties back in December, somewhere around Christmas and New Year's, to promote Fighting With My Family, her upcoming movie coming everywhere February 22nd. And it pretty much just showed the same trailer that we've been seeing, but it was awesome to see her back. So we'll see what she does after that movie is out and everybody's pretty much seen it. It's still one of my top 3 most anticipated movies of the year, next to Avengers Endgame and Captain Marvel. A Moment of Bliss had EC3 as a guest, who I was pondering when he would actually make his in-ring debut, because Heavy Machinery's already had a few matches. Nikki Cross has already had a few matches. Lacey Evans has just been in the Royal Rumble, which is still more than how much action EC3's had. And he was interrupted by Nia Jax, who was interrupted by Dean Ambrose, who said that Nia was pretty much madly in love with him. And then he did rapid fire questionnaire on EC3, who's known to be a pretty quiet dude. And the question of the night that just had me howling for some reason is, where is EC1 and 2? And then blah de blah de blah. EC3 faces Dean Ambrose for his first match, and EC3 won, which already made him one of my favorite people, because beating Dean Ambrose does that. And I guess he's Red Brand now, finally. Who knows? Who knows how this works? Back on 205 Live, Akira Tozawa won the Fatal 4-Way Elimination match to become #1 contender for the Cruiserweight Championship. He'll face Buddy Murphy at the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view, or really truthfully more like the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view kickoff show. And the NXT episode following the Elimination Chamber, Velveteen Dream will cash in his Worlds Collide opportunity and face Johnny Gargano / Johnny Champion / Johnny Jackass, pick your name, for the North American Championship. And that's pretty much all the wrestling news of the week. I got a chance to see Lego Movie 2, the second part, in the IMAX on Thursday, and yeah, it was really good. It had pretty much all the things that made the first Lego movie awesome. I mean, there was a little bit of the Everything is Awesome song, but it gave you more catchy pop songs that'll be stuck in your head that you'll be singing forever. And of course, more Will Arnett Batman, which is absolutely one of the best Batmans out there, at least recently. And I mean, I don't have a negative word to say about this movie. It's just freaking great. And Chris and Tina of Nerdbliss saw it Saturday night. I got to receive them and rip their tickets, so that was a pretty neat moment of the weekend. Also, Wednesday night, the real Super Bowl halftime show for an Atlanta Super Bowl happened at the Firmament on Woodruff Road. Shout out to them. It was Seven Dust. They were kind of an unspoken, unsung hero. They were pretty famous. They came up in the late 90s in the nu metal scene when, Korn came about and was huge and Slipknot exploded and all that. In fact, Seven Dust came along and started making waves about a couple years before Slipknot did, because they were under a previous band name, I forgot what, but they actually had a song on the Mortal Kombat More Combat soundtrack, which this was back in the mid-90s when they were just releasing multimedia from Mortal Kombat everything. And even the song that they had on there appeared in the second episode of the Mortal Kombat Defenders of the Realm animated series, which was the USA, one of the shows on the USA Network's animated block that I definitely grew up with, along with Highlander and the Street Fighter animated series. But yeah, they had that song on the second episode, which was Sting of the Scorpion. Definitely one of my favorite episodes. I think I still own that on VHS somewhere. But yeah, he had like three other bands that I never heard of open for them, and they also had Tremonti, which is the solo project of Mark Tremonti, the guitarist and the best part of Creed, who is also the guitarist of Alter Bridge, which I can't really say he's the best part of, but that's only because Alter Bridge is just such a great fucking band that, he quarter contributes to its awesomeness. And yeah, I came in, I watched Tremonti. I was semi-familiar with his music, but I'm definitely familiar with the person. He was awesome. And Seven Dust kicked ass. In fact, the first time I saw Seven Dust was 2006, I want to say, when they were promoting their then new album Next, when they had new guitarist Sonny Mayo, who eventually left the band, and they got their original guitarist Clint Lowry back. So Wednesday was the first time of me seeing the band with Clint again, which was pretty neat. And yeah, that was, I'll say it, and I'll say it a million other times, they should have been the Super Bowl halftime show. They're a wonderful rock band that's been around for 2 decades in Atlanta. They're not the most famous. They're not Maroon 5, who Lightning Lad's niece did point out that ever since Maroon 5's come on the scene, they've pretty much been a top 40 staple for roughly, I guess, the 16 years that they've had some sort of fame. I think they came around in like 2003 with Harder to Breathe, which is like the only Maroon 5 song I like. But yeah, so I got to see a great Atlanta band play, and so my Super Bowl halftime needs were met, even though the halftime heat that WWE did pretty much settled that. And I'll just say, it occurred to me that when Tom Brady won his first Super Bowl, it was February 2001, or maybe it was late January, I don't know. I didn't really keep track of the NFL too closely by then. But when he won his first Super Bowl, I was in 4th grade, 9 years old. And that's all I'll say. Also, did you know that The first movie I ever saw was Jurassic Park. The earliest I can remember was Mighty Morphin Power Rangers the movie, but the first movie I ever saw was Jurassic Park when I was 2 years old. Just gonna let that sink in, and with that, I'll say thank you for joining me for another Weekly Thunder on February 11th. I'm Sexy Thor, and remember to drink, fight, and make your ancestors proud.